Why Indian girls remain graceful and feminine even though they are in sports like wrestling? What caused this difference?
To understand this, you will have to understand what is the meaning of, what is the essence of India. The word, our word for India is Bharat. Bharat means those who are in the search of light, those who are in search of the truth. So Bharat is not a geography. It has nothing to do with any land. It is for those who are dedicated to know their inner nature, to know who they are, what they are. So anyone living anywhere in the world, if he has dedicated his life to discover his inner nature, to know who he is, he should be called, he is an Indian. He is a Bharatiya. So those whom we can call the real Indians, the real Bharatiya, only those people who have dedicated their whole life, who have sacrificed everything to know their inner truth, only they can be called Indians. Otherwise, if you are in search of matter, if you are in search of external things, if you are satisfied just by having lots of money and just by indulging in pleasures of the sense organ, you can't be called an Indian. Every country has certain search for which it has dedicated itself. But you cannot find anything better than for what India dedicated itself. They choose to remain poor. They choose to starve, but they never gave up their inner search. Because it is, if you don't even know yourself, all your knowledge, all your accumulation, all your wealth is just absolutely meaningless. You are not even fit to be called a human being. Because even animals are able to get their food and they find their shelter. And they also indulge in sex. So if these are the things you think this is all life is, that if you have a comfortable house, you have lots of money, you are successful, you are appreciated, you are a superstar, and you can have any pleasure on demand, and you think you are living a very significant life. This is not even the beginning of the life. Without knowing the depth of what life is, without going inside yourself and discovering this life is, whatever you are doing is all absurd. You may be praised by stupid people. You may be praised by the crowd, but it is better to be praised by one sage than to be praised by the whole world, because only the sages have eyes. That's why they are called sages. They are called seers. They can see. So those people who went deeper inside themselves, they found that all the significant things, all the great things, all the most important things are all feminine. Male may look very strong from the outside, but his power is very superficial. He has not got the real power, the real endurance, the real patience, the real inner strength. You may think that the stone is very strong in comparison to water, but water, because of its patience, can destroy any stones. If the water goes on pouring on the stone is destroyed sooner or later. But no stone can do any harm to water. Nature gives responsibility to the most evolved, to the highest, to the most deserving. So that's why nature has never met a man, a mother, because no man can keep a child in its womb for 9 months. Otherwise, all the children will be aborted. Even for one day, they cannot carry. So this patience, their strength is more subtle. It is from the outside, you may think that male are very strong. But even if you believe in scientific data, in their discovery, then also women live a longer life than men. Women fall sick less than men, and they go mad less than man. They commit suicide less than men. So the strength of patience, the strength of endurance is the real strength. And if you see, all the great qualities in the life is all feminine. Whether it is truth, whether it is beauty, whether it is poetry, art, sculpture, it is meditation. All these qualities are feminine. And all the enlightened people also become feminine. I have not heard anyone saying this before, but poetry, music, meditation, spirituality, all kind of arts, singing, dance, they're all more evolved things of higher level than science, than logic, than mathematics. Because the more subtle a thing, the more higher it is. The more refined a thing, more higher it is. The more, and also because these things are higher, because if you are a musician, if you are a great dancer, great classical dancer, or if you create poetry, real poetry, not just rhyming, or if you go into meditation, or if you are in love, these things changes you. You become transformed. You become a totally different person. But science cannot change you at all. You will remain the same person. You can do all the mathematics. You can become a great scientist. But that will not, that may will not make you less aggressive. You can be a very angry man and you can be a great scientist. But if you want to be a man of love, a loving man, all those things will slowly disappear. Even if you are a great musician, a great singer, a great dancer, real classical dancer, real classical singer, you will start becoming more and more feminine, more and more soft, like the lotus flower or the rose flower. I have seen musicians like Shiv Kumar Sharma and all the musicians. They start becoming more and more feminine, more and more soft. And meditation is the highest thing. It transforms you totally. But by being a great scientist, it has nothing intrinsic in it that it will change your inner nature. It will change you from a brute to a Buddha. And those who have gone deep inside themselves, they found everything which has real strength is all feminine, is all of feminine gender. In India, everything which has any strength, whether it is storm or fire, these are all of the feminine gender. One of the name of the female is Shakti. Shakti means power. So everything which is powerful and strong is all feminine in India. Their gender is always feminine. All those things which looks from outside as strong, but inside it's not so strong. They are all of male. Whether it is anger or things like that, it is all of masculine gender. And if you see the way they have described, they have defined God. In India, they have used two things. One is Sat Chit Anand, and another is, and the other is Satyam Shivam Sundaram. So Satyam Shivam Sundaram is one of the definition of God. Sat means truth. Shivam means auspicious. Sundaram means beautiful. These are all feminine. Truth is also feminine. You cannot attack on truth. You have to wait for it. You have to learn to be receptive. Then only one day truth can descend on you. When you have become pure enough, when your body is totally pure, your mind is pure, your emotions are pure, and they have become shunya also. You have become empty. The purer you become, the emptier you become. And finally you become empty. Only when you are totally empty, then only you are ready for the truth. When your body becomes totally purified, it becomes empty. Empty means you feel weightless, and it is no longer containing poisons which you have collected because of wrong kind of living. Then your thinking has to be purified. All kind of thinking about money, about power, about ambition, these things have to disappear. and right thinking has to take its place. And once the more it becomes subtle, finally your mind becomes empty. The same has to be done to the emotions. The purer your emotion, the more you cannot catch it. And one day you are empty. Your heart also become empty. As long as you are very emotional, you cannot become a witness. Because emotions, the very word comes from the root immovri, which means to shudder, to tremble. As long as you are trembling, your mirror is always disturbed. It cannot reflect things as it is. And the other definition for God is Sat Chit Anand. These are also all feminine. Sad means existence. Existence means that which was, which is, and which will be. It is never born, it cannot die. So, our search, those who are Bharatiya, their search is of that which is uncreated, which was and which is and which will remain. Anything which is created will be destroyed. So you have to find the very essence of your existence. That was never born, so it is not going to die. Chit means consciousness. This is also feminine. If you are, that means you will be conscious. You cannot exist, and if you are not conscious, then you cannot say that you exist. It is the other side of the same coin. And if you are conscious, then bliss is your very nature. You are not that bliss. You will be filled with bliss. You will become blissful. You are just bliss. Bliss is the very nature of consciousness. So those who went inside themselves, they found that all great things are feminine. All great mysteries are feminine. All the great mysteries of life is feminine. And the more evolved you become, the more feminine you will become. It's not that all those who are female are feminine. But as you become more evolved, more receptive, more sensitive, more conscious, more loving, you will become more feminine. And if you are not feminine, then you are not fit for truth. You will never become receptive. So all great qualities are soft. If you see all those things which has strength, it is all feminine. And it is so subtle you cannot even see. Like no one has seen light. But see its strength. It travels at the speed of 186,000 miles per second. And it is this light of the sun which is keeping this earth alive. Even if the light of the sun disappears for 8 minutes, everything will be gone. But you cannot see light. You can see lighted object, but you cannot see light. And light has no weight also. It is so subtle. But its strength. In the same way, you cannot see wind, but how it can destroy everything. You cannot see atom, but if you break the atom, it has so much power, so much energy will be released that in it can destroy anything. And And the womb of the female, it is dark. So anything which has the creative power is in darkness. To anything is created only when there is darkness. So out of this emptiness, out of this darkness, everything is created. If the seed has to sprout, then it has to go into the womb of the earth in that darkness. Without entering into that darkness, it cannot be born. And out of this nothingness, this emptiness, the whole universe has arisen. This darkness has so much mystery. And whatever you see concrete in this world is just nothing. Far more vaster is the dark matter, and even more vaster is the dark energy. And you see that it is stars are created, and in millions and billions of years it disappear into black hole. And this black hole there is not even space there. What to say about matter? Not even space is there. And whatever goes into this dark hole immediately becomes nothingness. But now scientists say there must be white hole also. From there everything is again born. So if you see even Lao Tzu, he has talked so much about the feminine strength. If you read his Tao Te Ching, he has talked about only feminine strength. He has not talked about being aggressive, being ambitious. If you can become a womb, if you can become empty, you have all the strength. And this is what the Indian mystique developed, that the real strength is all feminine. It is in the receptivity. It is being sensitive. If you have the patience, then you will discover the inner nature. And this inner nature is mysterious. It is in darkness. So those who are afraid of darkness, those who are afraid to go into the darkness of the thing, those who are always interested that things should happen immediately, if they don't have the patience, then they cannot grow in meditation. They have to be ready to disappear, to die in this womb of darkness. They have to get rid of their ego. Ego is it's like the solid ice. It has to be melted and then it has to disappear. For ego to disappear, you have to pass through sadhana. Sadhana is to be ready to go into this inner darkness. That is what these Christian mystics said, the dark night of the soul. One who is ready to go in that womb of darkness will be transformed. So India came to know that everything, all that is beautiful, all that is strong, all that is mysterious, it's all feminine. If you see any river, how silently it moves, how much graceful it is. In the female is like that. Female, the real female. It's like the river. She is not in rush. She is not ambitious. She has to. If you see, the ocean never breaks its boundary. Maybe now because our whole nature we have disturbed. So because the eternal snow of Himalayas are melting, maybe even ocean will break its boundary. Otherwise, it remains in its boundary. It never goes so much high that it will flood things. But if you break the laws of nature, then these things may happen. So they understood what the strength of female is. In India, female was not condemned. All those who understood. That's why it is said in India that wherever the woman is revered, wherever they are worshipped, only in those places gods reside. Divinity is there. So in India, no yag could be completed without female. And she was always considered as equal or even higher than male by those who understood things. So if you see Shiva, one of his form is Ardhanarishwar. So in that form he is half male and half female. If you see all our Hindu incarnation, it is not that the name of male is said first. It is always female who is mentioned first. It is always Sita Ram, not Ram Sita. It is always Radhe Shyam, not Shyam Radhe. So female has been given priority. Her very presence changes your quality if she is really feminine. So they discovered it. And if female is really feminine, she has such a strength which no aggressive woman can have. So if you meet an American woman, because they are blindly following the West, they are blindly following male qualities. They have become carbon copies of male. So there is no mystery in them. After some time, you will be bored. That's why there is so much divorce in the West. As long as East was living in its Eastern ways, they have understood the inner essence. There were no divorce in Eastern countries. In Sanskrit, there is not even a word for divorce, because if you are living from higher centers, then there is going to be no divorce. So anyone who is living in India, now because even India has changed, it is no longer Eastern. The West has corrupted everything. But still those who are not so corrupted, they has the feminine beauty. And even in sports like wrestling, these women, those who participate in those things, their gurus, their coaches, must be teaching them the Eastern values. They must be meditating, they must be doing yogas. And they must be taught that if you are just all the time aggressive, if you are just trying to attack, you will be tired sooner. So you have to wait for the right opportunity. You have to remain patient. And they are all must be doing all kind of pranayam, so they are more calm. Their food, most of the wrestlers in the past, they were all Indian wrestlers used to be vegetarian. I don't know about present day. And they must be all meditating also. And because it is the message of Gita, that whether you are winning or losing, don't lose your equilibrium. If women, when they win a match and they start being so aggressive and they start behaving in a way in a very aggressive manner. This looks so ungraceful. Those who are really feminine, they cannot behave in such shameful manner. And they have this, they are sensitive enough, they understood that those who have lost, it's not that the difference is only of little bit, so they should not do something which will hurt the other person so much. That is the sign of being sensitive. Those who are trained in proper way, the Eastern values, they will not behave like those Western women. They are just aggressive. They are there only to win by any mean. It is the end that justifies the means. For those who have understood what Indianness is, that they will definitely be more beautiful than any. But it is very few people in India now, those who know what is the Eastern essence. If you see Indian classical music, Indian songs, classical songs, Indian dance, it is incomparable. Indian instrument. But because West has to dominate everywhere, they are aggressive. So they won't allow your qualities to be known everywhere. They play all the games. And because India has remained slave for such a long time, so they also suffer from inferiority complex. They are also imitating West. West has developed in science, but it has nothing to do with America or any one country. Because their nature was also unfavorable, so they have to make all the effort to develop all those science. In East, in India especially, it was a very fertile land. So they knew whatever the great discoveries of sciences, if you find the roots of all those things are in India. They were the first to say all those things first. Before, I've forgotten the name of that scientist. Before he said that it is the earth which moves around the sun, not the sun which moves around the earth. And it was against the Bible. So the Pope called him that if you don't change it, then you will have to pay the price. They may have killed him. So he was an intelligent man. He changed his statement. But in the footnote he wrote in his book that neither the earth listens to me nor the sun listens to me. But he was an intelligent man. What was the point of destroying his life? So, but before he said, those Indian scientists, they said it thousands of years before that. About law of gravitation also they say that it is Newton who discovered it. Before, minimum of thousands of years before, Aryabhatta said it very clearly about the gravitational force. But because it was a fertile land, so they were not so much interested in going into too much detail. So they discovered it and then they turned more in. And science is not something which is an individual pursuit. You have to go on continuing. Wherever you have taken it, other people should take it further. Only then it becomes a great science. But what is science? Science is in a way rape of the nature. And we are now paying the prices. Within 300-400 years of scientific development of the West, they have bring this earth onto the brink of destruction. So these sages, they had the insight. They knew that before you develop these objective signs, your consciousness has to be more evolved. This evolution is all feminine. You have to be receptive. You have to be sensitive. You have to wait for it. You need patience. So anyone who is Eastern, and if you see what is the essence of motherhood, it is all patience. It is, if you are not patient, you are not fit to be a mother. And even if you are ill, then also you have to be very patient. That's why they are called patient. So all this feminine strength, because they are very subtle, they changes things slowly. So in comparison to the masculine strength of being aggressive, being ambitious, being violent, they look of lesser strength. But ultimately it is the feminine things which conquers. And even if the male has conquered, it is very ungraceful. It has no real beauty in it. That kind of violent change cannot be auspicious. That is the second thing in the definition of God, of Satyam Shivam Sundaram. So if the truth has to be not violent also, it has to be auspicious also. So these people were very wise. If you read Lao Tzu, then you will understand that how wise he was. You cannot compare anyone with Lao Tzu, not even Einstein. They are nothing in comparison of him. But it takes time to appreciate such geniuses. If China had listened to Lao Tzu, it would have been the most evolved country. But that needs changes in thousands and thousands of individuals. When you have developed certain science, it requires no change in the masses. That it is quite easy. Someone discovered something and it has become the collective wealth of everyone. But if you want to change your inside, no one can give you as donation. You have to make effort yourself. You have to become your own light. Okay?